How long will the repressive apparatus be able to maintain the necessary level of lies in Russia? Well, I believe for quite a long time, and there is hope to educate the populace. Surprisingly, they are easily influenced. And it's not the skill of the Kremlin's educators. It's what is called the memory of form. The people have simply returned to their Soviet mentality, into their serf reality. And there indeed everything is very simple. If you tell the truth, immediately run to write a confession. And the question arises, is the Russian people even capable of revolution? Is this people revolutionary? I will tell you, they are quite revolutionary. They demonstrate anger, mobility, a light readiness to die. 30% to lose, besides a shack with an outhouse, absolutely nothing. There are neither dreams nor hopes. That is, Russians in principle are quite capable of revolution. Nevertheless, they not only do not make it, they do not intend to make it. Why? Why don't the people rise up? The answer is paradoxical, but extremely simple. He has no reasons. Everything happening is quite pleasing to these people, at least to its defining part, and it is noticeable. It is noticeable not only among the sullen and silent masses, but also among those who are considered the so-called elite, the glamorous, who voluntarily live in Russia, even though they could have left long ago. However, if these people start, for example, defending their position, I explain to them that if you enjoy life in a leprosarium so much, then most likely you are lepers. Moreover, it could be somewhat understandable if the Russians were presented with some amazing plan for an extraordinary future. If there had been proposed an enticing, captivating ideology that would outline some brilliant sparkle of the future. If not for them, then for their children. But even that is not there. Despite all the trillions of rubles poured in, the Russian world still hasn't developed any coherent ideology. Russia is floundering. One moment it dons Carlson, Ivan the Terrible, then Hitler's cap, then Stalin's tunic. The Third Reich, at least, had the Ahnenerbe, a sophisticated occultism that was extremely enticing, and a well-understood pan-Germanism for the masses. There were grand figures, but grand, of course, for those times, who articulated the ideology of the Reich. Passionately, clearly, there were Sievers, Himmler, Hilscher, and so on. And Putin's Ahnenerbe is the caricatured hack Dugin and the mediocre writer Prokhanov, who was once hit on the head by the USSR and still hasn't come to his senses. And watch my video of Dugin, who explains the reason for the war. And this caricatured hack says that the reason for the war is very simple. Take note, you can see that the poor guy probably spent about 40,000, again, on laser hair removal on his forehead. He keeps removing hair here and goes higher and higher and higher towards the top of his head, in order to at least resemble a very smart philosopher by the size of his forehead. And if he had responded to all the questions from the girl with the microphone in that interview by bleating, mooing, croaking, he might have given the impression of a holy fool, a wise man who doesn't deem every little thing worthy of a response. But instead he spoke, and once again it turned out to be nonsense. And it's clear that this appellation comes across as a sort of Himmler, economy class, very economy class. It turns out his own. For Russia, it's just simply the path to God. And yes, simply the path to God. There are shamans somewhere, they seek this path by gorging on fly agarics. Jainists, they seek the path to God by meditating. Voodoo priests spin like tops and get drunk on rotten chicken blood. And what about Russia? It seeks the path to God through mass killings, violence, demolitions, and hail. That is, all this is like a big fly agaric. It's such a heavy trip that allows one to see in piles of bloody mess and ruins that very face of that very Russian God, and finally to climb up to him with kisses. An ideology, yes, of course, they need it, because we see that they first tried to dig up, exhume holy Russia, but from holy Russia, only stinking black dust and a bit of slime remained. It is not suitable for anything at all. Then they dug up Tsarist Russia, but these remains were unable to walk, sit, and immediately fell apart. And there is a really lousy soup mix there. There is Nicholas the Bloody, the executioner of the people, with a cigarette and a ballerina. There is Rasputin, with a kilometer-long penis on which, like on a skewer, all the empresses and ladies-in-waiting were impaled. There is the defeat in World War I, and now there is hope that at least the corpse of the Union. The Soviet Socialist republics have not completely decomposed yet, and might be able to fill Russia's life with movement. Well, indeed, the void needs to be filled with something, because right now, Russia's existence is meaningless. It has no reasonable explanation. And not only for the eyes of the astonished world, but also for the regime's own architect. The fact is that mockery of reality, of people, of truth, of law, poverty, and repression remains. It always needs to be justified by something, and it's best justified by something unimaginably lofty and incomprehensible. The kingdom of heaven, communism, the Third Rome, history, victory mania, orthodoxy, Ahnenerbe. It's clear that all this is not from a good life, that a normal, civilized comfort. Life does not need any ideologies, but when there are troubles on all fronts, then of course, yes, ideology is absolutely necessary. The state of the late Union of Soviet Socialist Republics is not entirely clear yet. They are still digging it up. Yes, that the corpse stench is very strong, but this actually inspires optimism among the diggers, who rightly conclude that it means there is still something to stink. Not everything has rotted away. And, well, let's say that's the story. So for those who remain